Hello everyone, welcome back to another Project Gladiator weekly overlook, and today I'll be covering the weather for the week of October 8th until October 15th. Starting off the jet stream pattern and our weather models, starting off the low pressure system that we see currently situated across eastern Canada here. We are expected to have a very large swath of mid-level flow across a very large portion of the eastern half of the United States into the central plains as well. We have a very broad and very large swath of mid-level flow that could be getting as high as a 60 and 70 and possibly even into the 80 miles per hour. However, this trough is not expected to trigger any severe thunderstorms because we do not have the instability to support them. All of our instability was pushed out into the Atlantic Ocean and Gulf of Mexico a couple of days ago, so we aren't really expected to see any threat for severe thunderstorms from this trough. However, this trough is definitely making things pretty windy in the regions affected. I live in one of the regions affected, and it is definitely getting pretty windy, and it is also getting cold as well. This trough is definitely causing temperatures to drop significantly because of the cold front that was attached to it, which is leading to temperatures that we're getting into the widespread 40s in the lows and the 60s as the highs. However, let's take a look at what we are expected to see as far as our two events that we are going to be focusing on this week. Let's start off with the one out of two events. The first event out of two. Let's start off with future Hurricane Lydia, however you pronounce it. I'm not really sure how you pronounce it. However, this is expected to develop into at least a Category 2 hurricane and impact the western coast of Mexico, and then continue following the subtropical jet into the Gulf of Mexico and impact regions of the southwestern United States, mainly across Alabama, Georgia, northern Florida, and into South Carolina and possibly North Carolina. This is going to lead to the threat of maybe some damaging winds, as well as the main threat of flash flooding. We are expected to have widespread heavy rain associated with this subtropical system, and this is definitely going to lead to flash flooding. This is expected to impact on the date of October 11th into the 12th, so definitely make sure you are watching out for that. If you live in any regions that could be affected, make sure you are watching out for October 11th or October 12th. And then let's take a look at the second event out of two. We are expected to see a trough that is going to make its way out of the Pacific Ocean into the western United States. For the first half of this week, it is expected to sit across the Rockies, advecting and not really trigger the threat of severe thunderstorms for the first half of this week, but we could definitely maybe see some rain showers, and maybe some TSTM threats across this region, but definitely not a threat for organized severe thunderstorms, as we do not have the instability to really support it. And this is going to kind of sit across the western United States for the 11th into the 12th. And then as for the future of this trough is expected to make its way. It is expected to blast its way all the way from the western coast into the eastern coast. It is expected to make it as far as the eastern coast in the New England region by the 15th. However, as for mostly midway through the week, we are expected to see this trough advect into the central plains. Let's actually take a look at what the SBC has currently issued for these days. For day 3, which is going to be Wednesday, we have a marginal threat for Nebraska into Kansas, Iowa, and Missouri. This is definitely going to be a date that you want to watch out for if you live in the affected area. However, there is going to be a little bit of uncertainty, and I will go into more detail on that. Let's take a look at our day 4 outlook, which is going to be Thursday. We currently have a 15% issued for Nebraska into Kansas as well. This 15% is probably going to be upgraded to at least a slight risk by the time this rolls around. Same with the marginal threat for Wednesday. We are definitely expected to have the threat of some severe thunderstorms on Wednesday into Thursday. And if you live in the affected area, that is definitely going to be a date that you want to watch out for. Is going to be the 12th and possibly the 13th, which is going to be the 11th and the 12th, which is going to be Wednesday and Thursday. So there's definitely a date you want to watch out for. We maybe see some severe thunderstorms later on in the week for the into Friday and Saturday, extending into Illinois and the Midwest and the Ohio River Valley. Overall, there is some uncertainty with this as far as instability. Our instability may be a little bit more so on the weaker side, despite the return of moisture to the region, which I will definitely show you on our dew point models, so we can get an idea of our instability plume. Overall, our instability might be a little bit more on the weaker side, as we do have a little bit lower temperatures across this region, but we are expected to have heat return across this region as well, getting as high as the 80s and 70s. Overall, there is some uncertainty with this, and models will definitely change between then and now. So definitely make sure you are staying weather alert and watching for updates if you live in the affected region. As overall, I'm not really sure about the extent of the intensity or the threat of the events on Wednesday and Thursday. And with the thunderstorms that we are expecting to see on the 11th and 12th, I forgot to mention this earlier, we are expecting to see a cold front and dry line develop with the thunderstorms, which is definitely going to attach itself to the trough and push its way eastward, clearing out a lot of the moisture and making it significantly colder. Across the areas affected, which is going to be mainly across the southern half of the Midwest into the southern half of the eastern United States. And I will definitely go over that in our dew point and temperature models as well. So definitely make sure you're watching out for that as well. We are definitely expected to have significantly colder temperatures across the eastern United States. But again, I will go more in depth on that on our temperature and dew point models. As for our rainfall for this trough, let's actually take a look at our composite reflectivity. You can see for the later dates of this week, you can see we have tons of rain across the New England regions. And as we load our forecast loop, and now I can play our animation so we can get an idea of where we should see our rainfall. Starting off with that first thing that I mentioned for this week, you can see that we have that large area of very heavy rain that is expected to impact the southeastern United States. You can see very widespread heavy rainfall, which is definitely going to lead to the threat of flash flooding across this region. Again, you definitely want to be watching out for that if you live in the affected area on Wednesday. And then as for the Central Plains with that trough, you can see we are expected to have very widespread rain showers as well. For the first half of this week, as I was mentioning, we should see some rainfall across the western United States into the Rockies, and then as this trough propagates into the Central Plains, we could see widespread rain showers extending all the way from Michigan into Wyoming, across the Ohio River Valley into the High Plains. And then as this propagates eastward, we could definitely see some more rain showers into the northern half of the Ohio River Valley and the northern half of the Midwest into the New England region. And you can see that we even have that cold front that is expected to drape down across the eastern United States, which again is going to lead to some rain showers and significantly colder temperatures later on in the week. So we are definitely expected to have a very widespread threat for rain showers for a very good portion of the United States this week. Taking a look at our dew points and our instability plume based on our dew points and where our moisture is going to be for this week, you can see based on the dry line that we currently have draping down across the Atlantic Ocean into Florida in the Gulf of Mexico, which is indicated by the cold front that pushed its way across the eastern United States and into the Atlantic Ocean last week. All of our moisture is out in the Atlantic Ocean, so we aren't really expected to see the threat of severe thunderstorms for the first half of this week because of the lack of moisture. However, we are expected to see the return of moisture and instability into the Central Plains due to strong southerly pull out of the Gulf of Mexico, which is going to be leading to, again, moisture and instability returning to the Central Plains, which is going to help support our severe thunderstorms on Wednesday and Thursday. This is where our instability does come into play. We are expected to have quite a bit of moisture across this region. We could potentially see a little bit higher or lower instability depending on our HRRR models. Our GFS models tend to water things down significantly, so we will have to wait until these dates roll around for more accurate representation of the events on these days. So overall, I'm not really sure the extent of our instability for these dates, which is going to be leading to our uncertainty for Wednesday and Thursday. So overall, we are expected to see things change between here and there. So definitely make sure you're staying tuned and watching out for updates on Wednesday and Thursday regarding the events for Kansas and Nebraska. We are expected to see a dry line and a cold front develop, which is going to push its way eastward across the eastern half of the United States. This should do the same thing as what it did last week, where this dry line could potentially race ahead of the cold front, pushing out a lot of the moisture and instability ahead of the cold front, preventing it from interacting with the cold front and supporting the threat of severe thunderstorms, and only really leading to the threat of rain showers on these days because the lack of moisture. And then all this moisture should be pushed out into the Atlantic Ocean, which is going to lead to overall a significant decrease in the threat of severe thunderstorms into early next week. So definitely make sure you're watching out for that. We are definitely going to see overall a lack of severe thunderstorms and overall a very, very low threat for severe thunderstorms into early next week. And this doesn't go without other impacts. This is going to lead to significantly colder temperatures across the eastern United States, and we will be taking a look at that on our temperature models. Taking a look at our temperature models, primarily focusing on that cold front that is going to develop and propagate eastward in the second half of this week. You can see that cold front pretty prominently here, draping across the Midwest into the Central Plains. This cold front is going to continue to propagate out to the eastward as it attaches itself onto the trough and lead to significantly colder temperatures across the vast majority of the United States. We are expected to have temperatures that could be reaching the widespread 40s and 50s across, again, the vast majority of the United States because of this cold front, and lead to overall the lack of severe thunderstorms because of the lack of moisture and the lack of heat to support severe thunderstorms, which is going to again lead to the lack of the threat for severe thunderstorms later on into early next week. However, for the southern half of this week, we could still see temperatures that could be getting into the 80s. For the beginning half of this week, it is going to be warming up for the beginning half of this week, and then again, it is going to be getting colder in the second half of this week as this cold front does push its way eastward. So again, we are expected to have significantly colder temperatures in the later half of this week, as we do see a little bit of warming in the beginning half of this week. Taking a look at our climatology outlook, starting off with temperatures for this week, and then we'll move on to our precipitation outlooks for this week. You can see that we do have a very large area of below average, of the threat for below average temperatures across a very large portion of the United States. This is going to be because the various cold fronts that we see pass through, leading to significantly colder temperatures across the eastern half of the United States into the Midwest and central parts of the United States. We are definitely expected to have fairly much colder temperatures across a very large portion of the United States, with even a 70% chance of temperatures being below normal across Arkansas into southern Missouri and northern Louisiana, with overall a very large threat in region for below average temperatures. However, we are expected to have the threat of above average temperatures for the western United States because of the lack of all that much activity out across the western United States. We haven't really been seeing a lot of anything really cooling down the western United States, which is going to be leading to a little bit more warming across the western United States, and overall a little bit more of a higher chance for above average temperatures across the western United States. Taking a look at our precipitation outlooks, you can see that we do have a very large region for the threat of below average chance for precipitation, excluding the Pacific Northwest and the New England region. This is going to be because of the various cold fronts and dry lines pushing out the vast majority of the moisture and heat out into the Atlantic Ocean and Gulf of Mexico, which is going to lead to overall the much lower threat for severe thunderstorms and rainfall across a vast majority of the United States. Mainly across the eastern and southeastern United States, where we could see more direct impacts from the cold fronts and dry lines that we see this week and into next week as well. We have this 50% chance of below average threat for precipitation because of the dry lines and cold fronts that we've been seeing a lot of pushing out all the moisture and heat into the Gulf of Mexico and Atlantic Ocean, which again will be leading to overall a lower threat for precipitation across the vast majority of the United States. Now that I've told you the weather, please go down to the description and check out the socials for Project Gladiator and join the Discord for any updates on Project Gladiator. If you live in any of the areas I covered for this week, please stay with the alert for the time being. And please let me know what you think about today's forecast. I think I did a little bit worse than usual, and I would like to improve off of that. So definitely give me some feedback if you notice anything different with today's forecast or how I could improve. Because again, I definitely feel like I did a little bit worse compared to usual. So hopefully I can improve off of that with your guys' feedback. And I could potentially see you guys tomorrow with another forecast, but I probably won't.